right, ladies and gentlemen. Did y'all like the intro? Shout out to Active Dynamics, Aaron from Active Dynamics, for creating that awesome intro for me. I will leave contact information to Active Dynamics website and email in the comments, in the description actually. So if y'all want to reach out to Active Dynamics for any sort of creative needs, y'all can absolutely do that. So shout out to them for making a fantastic intro for me for this section. All right, so let's talk about my Power Five rankings. Now this Power Five ranking, and at some points it does fit the standings, but in other cases it does not quite fit the standings. And I want to talk through it because I think there really are some teams that are peaking at the right moment, and I want to talk about why I think they're peaking and what's happening there. So at the number one spot, I do have the Minnesota Lynx, and if you're wondering why do you have the Minnesota Lynx, especially because they lost this past week to the Dallas Wings. So now here's the thing. Yes, I do have the Minnesota Lynx. Last week they won the most important game of last week, and that was the Commissioner's Cup game against the New York Liberty. They lost to the Dallas Wings in a pretty close game, and they beat the Chicago Sky yesterday. So for last week, 2 wins, 1 loss. But even with that loss to the Dallas Wings, I still have this Minnesota Lynx team as my number one team because, one, they beat the best team in the W, in the New York Liberty. They also won the most important game last week, which was the Commissioner's Cup, because that was actually for $500,000. So that was a huge deal right there. And the Lynx are just continuing to show us that they are a fantastic defensive-minded team. They are a team that can score from multiple people in that team that can score. Bridget Carlton can score like crazy in that Commissioner Cup game. We saw what Bridget Carlton was able to do. Kayla McBride has had huge games this season, like really hitting that 3-point shot. Nafisa Collier is another player who absolutely can ball and is, in my opinion, if the MVP vote was right now, she'd be my second pick. Asia Wilson, of course, is the first pick for MVP, but Nafisa Collier is playing some fantastic basketball, and she really is leading the squad, and she's doing a great job at it. It's not just on the offensive end, but it's the way that the Minnesota Lynx are playing defense that is really just setting them apart. So yes, that's kind of what I think from there. Yes, the Minnesota Lynx did lose a game, but I don't think it's that big of a deal. I still think they are the best team in the WNBA right now. And that's my power ratings, all right? So it's not just about records. It's about kind of who I feel is sort of peaking at the right moment, and it's the Minnesota Lynx that are peaking. All right. So next up, in my number 2 spot, I have the New York Liberty. So the New York Liberty, they go 1 of 1 from last week. And the reason why I have them as my number 2 is because I believe they're the second best team in the W right now. This team they're doing their thing. They went several games without Courtney Vandersloot, and even last week, she's not like back, like fully back and playing her normal minutes. But what this team has been able to do is just fantastic to see. We see Kayla Thornton. She slots in that starting lineup position and plays well. She plays absolutely well. She does not make herself a liability. She can hit that 3-point shot, and she looks really good. You have a player like, Brianna Stewart, who was, the reigning MVP from last season, doing her thing. You have Jonquil Jones. So yes, absolutely, Jonquil Jones did have a abysmal game against the Minnesota Lynx in that Commissioner's Cup game. But overall, guys, Jonquil Jones is fantastic. She really is. And she's had spurts of phenomenal play this season. You have Sabrina Ionescu, who I keep talking about Sabrina Ionescu and how she has evolved as a player from last year to this year. And I'm loving what I'm seeing. I really am loving what I'm seeing from Sabrina Ionescu. And and it's awesome. You, again, as I talked about already, you have Kayla Thornton, who is showing up and showing out, doing whatever she needs to do, playing defense, hitting 3-point shots. Like, she's just, whatever Sandy needs from her, she does it, and she does it well. You have Benijah Laney Hamilton, who is one of the best actors in the WNBA. She's gonna try her best to get whatever call she wants to get. But jokes aside, like, Benijah is, one of the tough defenders for the New York Liberty. She is a player who can get to her spots and hit those shots. And I think it's awesome to see. I think it really is awesome to see what the New York Liberty is doing. All right, next up, we have the Las Vegas Aces. And I know some people are like, what? Why is Las Vegas Aces number 3 when they have a not so good record? Yes, this team is 10 has 10 wins and 6 losses on the season so far. And yes, absolutely. Normally, that is not good. I am one to say that's not a good number. But power rankings is a week by week basis, and it's not about overall how teams are, or it's not like for the whole season how teams are doing. It's recently how teams are doing, and ever since we've seen Chelsea Gray come back to this team, they look very different. This team looks very different. They're winning games, and it's not just about winning; it's about how they play. And I think we're seeing an awesome team in the Las Vegas Aces. The fact that they have Chelsea Gray back, the fact that she's not even back to her normal self. It's just her presence, her sheer presence on the court is making a huge difference. It's not all on Asia Wilson no more, because her point guard is back. And this team is gonna be doing, like, they're already doing well. They're already doing well, and are way better in the last couple of games they've played. Now that Chelsea Gray is back, so that's something that I thought was pretty awesome. The fact that she's back and the fact that they're looking good. And it's not even all about Chelsea Gray. I think it's just about her presence, and that's like the big thing. A thing to note, guys, is that we will see the Las Vegas Aces play the Indiana Fever tomorrow. Now, guys, a quick thing to note about that game is that I will actually be doing a post-game live stream with Bleacher Report after that game is over, which is basically at midnight. So after that game is over, y'all should head over to Bleacher Report's app and listen to me break down the game. I probably will do a majority of the game as play-by-play, but then I'll have to hop off and go on Bleacher Report. All right? So check me out on Bleacher Report Tuesday after the Aces versus Fever game. Also, shout out to Bleacher Report. They're like the only media brand that is really rocking with me, and I appreciate it. All right. So let's continue on. I want to make this actually a little bit faster because we have been on the stream for a very long time, and I don't want this to be that long of a show. All right, let's move on to the Seattle Storm. So I have the Seattle Storm as my number 4. The reason why is because they're playing good basketball. They are absolutely playing good basketball. They beat the Fever. They beat the Wings last week. And this is a team that can struggle. This is a team that absolutely can struggle. But I see way more positives than I see negatives for the Seattle Storm. Now, I will say though that for the Storm team to be successful, they have to see a lot more from Jewell Loyd, and she has been showing up. She has been showing up in that game against the Wings. Jewell Loyd, I believe she had like 30 points in that game, and she's been absolutely doing her thing. But they need her to consistently be great for this team to continue to be rocking and rolling. But the Seattle Storm, I mean, they have the kind of the trifecta. You have a player like a Nneka Ogwumike, who can do her thing down low. Her and Ezgi McMagor You have Jewel Lloyd, who can shoot. You have Skylar Diggins-Smith, who is just sort of keeping this team all together. You have Jordan Horston, who I am just loving watching Jordan Horston play. I think she is a phenomenal player and really is. It really is a great thing to see her continuing to evolve as a player and get better and better and better and better. So again, if Jewel Lloyd keeps doing this, the Seattle Storm are going to seriously be in the conversation for a run at the championship this year. That's just something to note. That is just something to note. Guys, the team that has fell all the way to fifth in my rankings is the Connecticut Sun. The reason why it's the Connecticut Sun is because Connecticut has just been on a losing streak. They are, this team was 13-1. They had a great start to the season, and then it was loss after loss after loss after loss. Janae says Quita don't hype Seattle up. I mean, to me, there's I think they're phenomenal. I don't think they're a team that needs hype. I think I say sleep on Seattle at your own peril. Before the season started, I had this Seattle team going far. The reason why is because, again, you got three fantastic players. So I don't think much hype is needed because I think they're a team that is not. I put Seattle, to be honest with you, I put Seattle on the same, not on the same level, but right up there with the Aces and the Liberty in terms of teams that are playing the way I expect. I expect when it's all said and done, the New York Liberty to be at the top of the standings. I expect the Las Vegas Aces to be at the top of the standings. I expect the Seattle Storm to be right up there because they have some high octane talent on their team. It's just about figuring out how to make that stuff work and get some wins across. So the Minnesota Lynx, I think, is a team that people sleep on. So I hype them up because I think people really sleep on them. I really do. So yeah. Anyway, guys. Anyway. Let's go on to the Connecticut Sun. Now, for the Connecticut Sun, they are struggling big time. Absolutely struggling big time. When we look at this Connecticut Sun, they started off the season with two things, right? Defense as their core structure. And Alyssa Thomas being Alyssa Thomas, and DeWanna Bonner being DeWanna Bonner. And for the last several games, we haven't seen that. I think it all started with the Connecticut Sun. They went to the West Coast. And I felt like that just, I don't know what happened on the West Coast, but they just started losing. So yeah. I don't think that they're doing much of anything. They lost, they lost quite a bit. So I'm just saying, guys. I don't know about the Connecticut Sun. When we watched this team play early in the season, it was they were running at the speed of Alyssa Thomas. She was making good passes to her team. We saw DeWanna Bonner completely doing her thing. We saw Brianna Jones. We saw Dejanay Carrington continue to play well as well. And the last couple of games, I felt like DeWanna has been off. It felt like Alyssa Thomas has not been her normal self. Sometimes Brianna Jones get touches, sometimes she doesn't. And that's the core three for this team. And for this team to be successful, you need those three to play well. And they haven't. And so that's the result. Because they haven't, we're seeing the skid that they're on right now. So, that's just something. That is just something to note. JJ says Dejanay is fire. Yeah, Dejanay is a really good player. She is. Jordan says no one knew who Dejanay was until the Fever game. I mean, Jordan, I think you're right for some people. I I don't know. I didn't know she was as good as she was, but I've known her since Baylor. I've known her since Baylor. Um, but I think you're right though in the sentiment that a lot of people didn't know her until that Fever game. But also I think a lot of like newer fans didn't know of anybody until they played the Fever. Like I think that's a fair comment to make because when we look at it, we see we see record breaking attendance when the Fever rolls through. So it's we see numbers up the wazoo. So I do think that that's probably the case for a lot of players and a lot of teams that a good amount of the fans watching didn't know who these players were. I'm glad they know now. I'm glad they know today. Um, yeah, Frank. Yeah, Frank says Dejanay needs to make a. They need to. Yeah, yeah. Dejanay needs to sign a extension with the Connecticut Sun. Yeah, I really do think she needs to, because she is fantastic. I think Donald is in an early part of the episode when I was talking about Yolanda Griffith. Yeah, Yolanda Griffith is fantastic, guys. I think I should do a in the history books about Yolanda Griffith, uh, because she truly did pioneer like big women in the W, like how you play as a post. I was a big fan of Yolanda Griffith. Yeah, she was not as big of a fan as I was of Lisa Leslie, but yeah, Yolanda Griffith could ball. She could absolutely ball. All right, guys, that is my top five. Now I just want to show y'all my Power 12. That is my power rankings for top 12 teams. Again, number one, Minnesota Lynx. Number two, New York Liberty. Number three, Las Vegas Aces. Number four, Seattle Storm. Number five, Connecticut Sun. Number six, Phoenix Mercury. The reason why I have the Indiana Fever at number seven and Phoenix at number six is because, yes, the Indiana Fever did beat the Phoenix Mercury. I still think that I keep saying Minnesota. I still think that the Mercury have more momentum. I still think they have more momentum than the Indiana Fever right now, at least. I want to see more from Indiana to move them up to my number six spot. Number eight, got the Chicago Sky. Number nine, the Atlanta Dream. Number 10, the Dallas Wings. Number 11, the Washington Mystics. And number 12, at the bottom, the Los Angeles Spark. All right, so that is who I have for my power rankings. Let me know y'all thoughts about that. Y'all have any thoughts about what's happening on that front? Let me know in the comments.